Welcome to another series of the Travelling with Aspie series with Father Lyra and I. Hopefully you're enjoying these based on some of the activities and history behind all these local townships that I'm doing in between of our activities. Please. So as you're aware, basically, as you're travelling down based on what I've been doing right now, based on the everyday travelling of the South Island, the last topic I was talking about was a little bit about Granite. But beforehand, let's start on the tourist attraction of Denniston. On your way to the well-known Denniston historic coal mining site, you will find towns with a coal mining legacy, as I've mentioned before, that are now largely forgotten in this day and age. Granity Ngakawau, still a coal depot for the Stockton Mine, Hector, Wainangaroa and Millerton. As part of the Denniston narrative, Stockton Coal Mine is currently operating and is part of the story of the West Coast coal mining that is worth a detour, which I obviously shared briefly some of the history behind. So following in the footsteps of the prospectors, a heritage coal and coal mining trail, today you will be on the trail of a 19th century gold miner. You'll be travelling north, viewing Denniston Plateau to your right as you travel between the mountains and sea, delving into the past in Hector, Granite, Foreshore and Granity Museum, Ngakawau, Millerton and Stockton. Hector is the home to the Country Music Museum. You can visit the Granity and witness the action of climate change on a small settlement. And here above you is a quick imagery of Ngakawau, called terminus for Stockton Mine. Ngakawau, the terminus for the Stockton aerial roadway which transports coal and buckets from the current operational mine on the Stockton Plateau to be loaded onto rail for export through the port of Westport and the port of Littleton on the east coast. Ngakawau is located on the southern side of the Ngakawau River, which flows out to sea at Hector. The roadway has eliminated the dangerous incline of Denniston and Millerton to transport coal to rail hubs. The coal is largely exported via ship to steel markers in Japan, India, China, South Africa and Brazil. Parcels of coal are barged from Westport to Port Kembla, New South Wales and Australia. It's a massive industrial operation with coal dust, coal debris and very large heaps, and it is a visible reminder of the historic and current importance of coal economically for the West Coast. You can walk around the public access to these coal loading facilities. Next on the tourist attraction is Granite. Granite is a must-do stopover for a visit for everyone interested in climate change. You can stand on the constructed stony embankments and watch the sea relentlessly working away at the foundations, and the nearest houses are very close. There is a notice and plaque showing where the community hall used to once stood. It's sobering watching the rising sea rewrite the land boundaries. Granite is a historic gold and coal mining town. Granite is home to the Granity Museum, which is located in the centre of Granite, signposted off the main road as you head onto the historic site. Being coke ovens built in the years of 1909 to the 1910. Buildings and sites belong to the Northern Buller Museum Trust. However, it also owns the Millerton incline behind the museum. Work is underway to get the incline reinstated as a walking track. At Ngakawau and Granite, you can do short walks to the coal bins, Watson and Mum's Mill to view coal mining abandoned relics. You cannot miss the museum, it is very large. This is open usually at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Other hours you can call them, and all this will be obviously listed below. You can call into the local pub in Ngakawau for the local colours. Perhaps have a bite to eat at Ngakawau. Take a walk through the local camping grounds to the beach to view the rugged coastlines and Tasman sea pounding at the beach. You'll have already visited Granite and observed the impact of climate change. Wainangaroa in Britannia gold mine. As I said before, many of these are known for gold mining versus coal mining. You can try your hand at gold panning here. Also, see what your fortunes will bring for the day. Be prepared to be disappointed. However, north of Wainangaroa is O'Connor Road leading to the car park. The walking track is the original bollock track and is wide and easy to navigate. Entrance is located in the car park. Follow the signs to the gold sicking area. Handles are allowed and no permit is required. The designated area is from the abandoned gold mine to the beginning of the farmland downstream. The second signposted track leads to the Republic battery site. Continuing up the valley, several tracks leads off. The first drops down to the Republic battery site, a few scattered remnants here and there. The second side track leads quickly to an old adit full of cave water. The main track becomes rougher and crosses a few hillside streams before turning off the Bollock track, which runs out soon anyway, and drop into the Britannia battery site. Dropping down through the native bush is the Britannia battery. The quartz crusher battery reduces the rocks to small pebbles to assist with the dissolving of the gold in a cyanide water solution. The battery dates from 1925, built by Price of Thames, whose buildings are still used for steel manufacturing. It's very impressive and industrial piece of machinery in the middle of what is now the quiet forest. The Britannia Mining Company in 1896 and seized in 1910. The area was restarted in 1925 and the 5-head Stamper battery was brought to site then. There were various mines dating back to 1875 to 1937 in the local area. The site has plaques describing the site's relics, which include Pelton wheel and cyanide tanks. Obviously, the Millerton Visitor Centre that is now semi-abandoned. Basically, take the hire and explore the coal mining, now largely abandoned Millerton settlement, as the air of a ghost town with a number of empty buildings and infrastructures around you. Despite its elevation of 300 metres being considerably lower than that of Denniston, 494 metres, the grade between the coastline and Millerton still meant that the coal was difficult to get down to the railway. Westport Coal Company built the Millerton incline in 1891 and the Millerton mine began production in 1896. Mining at Millerton ended in the late 1960s, similar again to the Denniston. Millerton incline 1891 was a narrow gauge bush tram consisting of 2 parallel tracks on which the coal tubs ran, being hauled up by rope. The incline dropped 260 metres to the coastline. Remnants of tracks, trucks, bathhouses and other installations are still visible today. The Millerton incline was in its day quite a feat of engineering, and the remains of this incline and its infrastructure are more accessible than those of the more famous Denniston incline. The Millerton incline was used to convey tubs of coal from the famous Denniston incline, or shall we say the Millerton incline was used to convey tubs of coal from the mines around the Millerton area to the bins of Granite, which in their day were the largest coal loading bins of wooden construction in New Zealand alone. The bins are now long gone, but the incline remains and is well worth a look when you get there. Stop. The information centre is in what is effectively an abandoned house now. There are dusty maps and photographs furniture that is showing the effects of weather and time. The settlement is a snapshot of archaeological ruins in the making. Nature is basically making a comeback and reclaiming houses and public areas. It's fascinating to think where there used to be about 2 hotels, shops, churches, sports grounds and library that are now dissolving back into the bush. Getting there, obviously it's a narrow, steep, winding road. If you want to see it, that is setting the scene for a visit to the part of New Zealand that has very few visitors nowadays. The road to Millerton has spectacular views across the coast and the rainforest. Mining Legacy Cascade Stockton open their cast mine tour. Perhaps you would like a tour of Stockton's current mining operations at the nearby Cascade Mine, New Zealand's largest open cast mining operation on Stockton Plateau is a must-do visit where you will discover the narrative of what it was like to be a miner on the Denniston Plateau. The extraordinary uplifted plateau is a drive into another world where coal was king in those days. The Denniston Plateau is home to one of the richest and high-quality coal seams in New Zealand. For decades, it was the country's largest producing coal mine, with an estimated 12 million tonne carried down the incline during its operation from October 1879 to August 1967. Denniston was created by coal and existed only to produce coal. With the mine's closure, Denniston is also now closed. The town has disappeared into the efficient recycling world of the west coast, with very little evidence of the residencies and homes of over 2,000 people. Only 2 houses remain there, however. Yet steps to nowhere, abandoned mining equipment is everywhere and extensive industrial foundations. Piles remind visitors of the disappeared people, and spectacular mist swirls around the landscape, adding to the sense of closure and history where people once then stood. Coal is still mined in the area today, however, at the nearby Cascade Mine, and New Zealand's largest open cast mining operation in Stockton. The Denniston Experience underground mine tours, which I've gladly shared, is a must-do to the part of the exploration of the coal mine. Over 179 metres of the Banbury mine is a replica of the 1880s mining site. There are hologram displays and interactive exhibits, as well as working the equipment. The atmosphere and sense of what it's like to work underground is faithfully portrayed. Getting there to the Denniston Plateau is 40 minutes on State Highway 67. The panoramic coastal view from this plateau is not to be missed. The story of the early miners' lives on this wild plateau are a unique part of New Zealand history. The turn-off is at Wainangaroa, which is 15 minutes. Basically, the quick self-guided tour walking highlights to be told here for Denniston is your historic coal mine site, famous Denniston Incline, Denniston Museum, panoramic coastal views. Denniston Excursion Tour operator Outwest Tours is named for taking a journey inward at the place all but forgotten Denniston Mine. Well, this quickly ends briefly of a short tour around the little townships that I have missed. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Again, let me know, and please bear with me as I'm trying to continue my journey down here, getting as well, and I'll catch you guys shortly. See you soon.